Welcome back, Bikeaholics. Ryan Urlacher here, lawabidingbiker.com. Always thank you for checking back in. So, my 2014 Street Glide Special here. I've got some oil leaking around on the front jug. It's caking up in the fins. Common place to leak is your rocker cover housing gasket. And so in this video, we're going to show you exactly how to change that out. And if you can't tell exactly where it's leaking, it could also be your rocker cover gasket. And we also have a video for that. I'll link to it in the description below. With that said, what do you say we get wrenching and get our hands dirty? But before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button and bell icon every time those are hit. Another biker joins the revolution. We'd love to have you be part of it. All right, first thing he's going to do is just remove the seat here, and we've just got one of our RICKRAK thumb bolts. We've got shorter and extended, makes it easy for getting your seat off. I will link to it in the description below in the Law Abiding Biker store. And with that, he can go ahead and slide this seat back, and it's a heated seat, so he's got to unplug this one. And we can get that seat out of the way. All right, and to remove the fuel tank here, we're gonna have to get some stuff out of our way. That's a vent line, and you're just gonna get that popped there. And then find your gray plug down in there. You're gonna have to push on the push tab there, and then it will pull apart. And then he's gonna fish the other vent line out of there. That can be zip tied stock down in there, so you just have to go down the right side of your bike and snip the zip tie, but that frees everything up. All right, and then with a Torx T40, there's 2 bolts here on the rear of the tank that he's going to break loose there. And that side out, and he'll move over to the other side here and just working on backing that one out. All right, then moving up to the front of the tank, there's just little rubber covers on there, both sides, left and right. And that exposes a bolt. That's a Torx T40. And he's going to go ahead and back that one out. And there we go. All right, and he's just working on the other side of the tank there, removing that same bolt. All right, now we're gonna disconnect the fuel line. He's gonna put a rag up there. You will drip just a little bit of fuel, but it is a quick disconnect. He pulls up on the sleeve with one hand, and he's gonna push up and pull down on the actual fuel line, and that separates it. All right, and with all 4 bolts out now and lines disconnected, you can go ahead and get your fuel tank up and out of the way. And he's just gonna wipe things down a little bit before we get into the top of the rocker box here cover. Just you don't want any debris and stuff going down in there, so just clean up a little bit. All right, and then there's 6 bolts, 3 on the left side and 3 on the right side of your rocker box cover. 7/16 inch socket that he's using, and they do want you to take them off in a specific pattern, so start with your center left one there, and then you can just finish taking them out with your fingers. The next one to remove is moving to the right side center. And next is your left side rear bolt. And just be aware that if you're using a shallow well socket, you can actually, as you're backing them out, hit the frame and kind of lock yourself out. So it's good to have on hand a ratchet wrench, and that's what he's going to use to finish that one. And next is your right side front bolt. Next is your left side front bolt. And last is your right side rear bolt. All right, and with a dead blow hammer, he's just going to go ahead and hit that rocker box cover a few times. You can see it broke loose there. And then you can lift that off and get it out of the way. And with a clean rag, he's just cleaning up inside there just a little bit, making sure there's no dirt on the lip, making sure everything, if it does, falls outside the rocker box there. All right, now he'll just take the old gasket off the rocker box cover. There we go. And he's just using a little rubbing alcohol there on a rag, just get any remnants of the gasket off the lip there. All right, and so now we're going to want to remove the spark plug, so just pop both wires off there. And with a 5/8 socket, that's a spark plug socket there. Just going to go ahead and back those out. You got that one out. And if you haven't seen our spark plug change and gapping video, I will link to it in the description below for you. And you just move into that back one there. And the reason we're removing this is because we're going to be turning the engine during this project, and it's to relieve compression. And you got that back one removed. All right, and then we're going to want to get the rear of the bike off the lift there, and we're just using our mini jack. And if you're interested, there's no better way to work on a motorcycle, not on the floor, but on a nice motorcycle lift. This is one of our mini Titan lifts. And the mini jack is a Titan mini jack. This is all available we sell them right in the law-abiding biker store, and I will link to our Titan lift products in the description below. But that's what he's doing right there, is just working the mini jack, and he's going to get that rear wheel off the lift because we're going to actually turn the rear tire wheel to turn the motor. All right, so this is a 6-speed transmission, and we want to get it up in 6 gears, so he's just turning that rear wheel and shifting up, and he's got it in 6 there. All right, so we're going to want the front piston in the top dead center position because we're working on the front rocker cover housing gasket. And so the way you do that is I'm going to be watching these rocker arms and valve springs. And you'll see basically the rear one get pushed down all the way, the front one get pushed down all the way, and then the front one will let up. That's your exhaust port, and the rear one there is your intake. And as it lets all the way up, it's going to barely start putting pressure on the rear valve. And that's when I want to stop lurch. He's going to be turning the rear wheel. I'm going to be talking him through it. And so we'll go ahead and do that. He's going to start turning that wheel. And we'll see that rear one go all the way down, and it's up. And he's getting, now the front one's all the way down and still pushing down all the way. There it is. And it's going to start coming back up here in a minute. All right, it's coming back up nice and slow right there. And you guys saw that came up, and then the rear just barely started pushing down. That's top dead center, and that means your push rods are on the lowest part of the cam, and the piston should be all the way up at top dead center. All right, he's just sticking a screwdriver in there, just confirm. There's the piston, so we are at top dead center. All right, now he's going to take off his breather assembly and filter, and there's just 2 bolts there. That's a 3/8 inch socket that he's using. He's just finishing off there with his fingers. All right, and then he'll come in and get that other one off there. And he got that one backed out. All right, now he can go ahead and pull up on his engine breather and filter there. And he's just going to go ahead and grab that filter out of there. And this is where the filter actually goes, inside the breather there, the housing. All right, so now we're going to back out the 4 rocker arm support bolts. They are a 1/2 inch socket, 1/4 turn at a time only. And there is a pattern, so he did that front left one. Now he's moving over to the rear right one. Again, just a 1/4 turn at a time. Now he's moving to the right front one. Again, 1/4. And he'll move to that left rear one, 1/4 turn. And he's just going to keep going around in that pattern, a 1/4 turn at a time, so this all lifts up uniformly until they're all the way loose here. Is this new gasket going to give me more horsepower?
At least 5 horsepower.
5 horsepower, wow. All right, so he's backed those all out a 1/4 turn at a time, and he's lifting that plate. And you can see how it's loose now, so all the pressure's off of it. So now he can go ahead and just back these all the way out without doing the 1/4 turn. And he's just finishing up with that last bolt there. All right, now we can go ahead and lift up on that rocker arm support plate and get that out of the way. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and start removing the rocker housing bolts. There's 6 of them. 7/16 inch socket is what he's using. And there is a specific pattern that they want these removed in, and we will show you that as we go along here. Of course, the right side rear one we're going to start with. I'm going to back that the rest of the way out there. Next, we'll call the very left front bolt. Next, we will call the very left rear bolt. And those 2 bolts on the very left side are different than the rest of them, so just make a note of that. Next is the very right front bolt. Next is what we're going to call the center rear bolt. And the last one we will call the very center front bolt. All right, just real quick, we'll get right back into your video. As you can imagine, a lot of man-hour, effort, and expenses go into keeping this channel going strong. There is a way you can support us by becoming a patron member. I will link to it in the description below. By becoming a member, there are benefits such as t-shirts and stickers. You get access to the private Facebook group, which is a troll-free zone. Nothing but bikers helping bikers in there. Access to live video broadcasts and chat podcasts, early premium videos, and access to those ride, meetup, and events. We appreciate you considering becoming a member. Now let's get back into your video. All right, in a moment, we're gonna go ahead and pull the push rods out. Just note that the rear one is just a hair shorter than the front one, and you'll definitely wanna make sure you put those back in the right tubes there. However, there's no upside or downside to each rod, so to speak. They're exactly the same, but best practice is try to put them back in the same way. You can mark that on a paper towel or something, but if you didn't for whatever reason, it won't hurt anything. And so with that, he knows his rear one there is shorter, just a hair than the front one, and he'll go set those on a paper towel and mark them. All right, and with some light taps with a dead blow hammer, he's just gonna hit the rocker cover housing. There you go. You can see very light, broke it loose there. And he can go ahead and lift that off and get it out of our way here. All right, and with just some gasket scrapers, he's just getting the old rocker cover housing gasket off here so we can put a new one on, and just make sure you get all the debris off. And he's got pieces of gasket material on there still, so he's just gonna work his scraper. And again, you can use some rubbing alcohol too after you do that, just to make sure everything's nice and clean before the new gasket gets laid down. And we will link to some of the tools and items we used in the description below. And like I say, he's just coming back with a little rubbing alcohol there on his rag and cleaning the rest off. All right, and with his gasket scraper, he cleaned up there a little bit, and a little rubbing alcohol on a rag. Just make sure you don't push any material back into the springs there, the valves and all that. Now we're going to go ahead and replace this O-ring here in the rocker cover housing, as we bought a new one there. And just put a little oil on that, lube it up, and he will go back in the channel there with it. All right, this is the rocker cover housing gasket, and you can see on one side it says front head, and then on the underside it says rear head. So we're going to go ahead and place it in like this with front head up, facing up. All right, so he's got his gasket in place and the holes lined up. He's going to come back in with his rocker housing. All right, so he's got the housing lined up with the gasket. He's going to go in with his bolts. He's got blue Loctite on all of these already prepped. And there's the top center one and the bottom center one, just getting them finger started, and top right one and bottom or front one. And then he's got the rear left one there, and those are the two different style bolts than the other four, and the front left one. Again, all have blue Loctite. All right, and with a 7/16 socket there, he's going to go ahead and just seat these, which means he's not tightening them. He's just going until they just start to make contact. And after that, we'll go around and torque to specifications here. So he's going to go around each one and do that. All right, so he's coming in with his torque wrench now, and you have to do these in a certain pattern. And it's 120 to 160 inch-pounds. And we have the torque wrench set right at about 140 in between. And there he's got that one. And moving up to that left front one, and you can see he's got a wobble joint on there so that you can get in there. And moving to that very left rear one, and moving across to that very far right front bolt, and going to that center rear bolt now, and he'll move up to that center front bolt. And there we go. Those are all properly torqued. All right, he's going to go back in with the push rods, and that shorter one, remember, goes in the rear, longer one goes in the front. All right, so now he's going to put the rocker arm support plate back in position there, and make sure he gets everything lined up there. Then he just got his 4 bolts there. He's going to start those, at least get them finger started here. There we go. He's got those 4 bolts finger started. And with his 1/2-inch ratchet wrench there, he's getting all these just seated again, just until they make contact. And after that's done, we'll go around and torque them to specifications. And Lou, the law-abiding biker shop dog here, is going to help us torque these down. All right, so now he's got his torque wrench on there, 18 to 22 foot-pounds. We've got ours set at 20 foot-pounds. And you'll do them in the same pattern that we tighten them down. There's that one, that left front one. Moving over to the right rear one. Moving to that right front one there. and finishing off with the left rear. And those are all now properly torqued. All right, now we're going to put our breather assembly back in place. Just make sure the filter is secured there. And he'll position that back there. And he'll get his 2 bolts, at least fingers started, get everything lined up here. And just the 1 bolt on each side. And he's going to go in with his 7/16 inch socket. And again, just seat these just till they start to make contact. Move over and do the same to the other, and then we'll torque these down. All right, going in with his torque wrench, 120 to 156 inch-pounds, and we've got it set to about 140. And he'll move in here and get the other one torqued. And with a clean rag, he's just cleaning up inside there just a little bit, making sure there's no dirt on the lip, making sure everything, if it does, falls outside the rocker box there. All right, now he'll just take the old gasket off the rocker box cover. There we go. And he's just using a little rubbing alcohol there on a rag, just get any remnants of the gasket off the lip there. All right, and he's gonna go back on with his rocker cover gasket, and it only goes one way to get everything lined up. And he's gonna go ahead and go on with the actual rocker cover. Just seating that into place here, working it in there. And he'll start going in with the 6 bolts. There's 3 on the left side and 3 on the right side here. The shorter ones go over there on the left side that he's putting in now, and the longer 3 go on the right side. So just note that. And just moving over here to the right side, again, these are the longer bolts, and he's got those all finger started now. All right, now with the 7/16 inch socket, he's gonna go around and seat each one just until it starts touching again. And we are gonna do it in the specific pattern that we're supposed to. So he's starting with that left center one, moving over to the right center one, moving over to the left rear one, moving over to the right front bolt, moving over to the left front bolt, and moving over to that right rear bolt. All right, now he's got his torque wrench on it. Again, same pattern, 15 to 18 foot-pounds. And moving around to the right center one. And moving around to the left rear one there. And moving around to the right front one there. And moving around to the right front one there. Next is the right rear one. And those are all torqued down now. All right, and of course, before we put the tank on, great time to throw some BUGSLIDE on your rocker covers there. And BUGSLIDE, tried and tested right here by the law-abiding biker crew. It is our #1 go-to waterless motorcycle cleaner. Cleans chrome and paint and seats and helmets and face shields and even that denim paint, and puts a microscopic finish on it so that debris and dirt come off even easier. We like it so much. That's right, we sell a heck out of it right in the law-abiding biker store, and I will link to it in the description below. All right, and now we can go ahead and go back on with the fuel tank. You can see just kind of getting in position there, and he'll line those front tabs up with the bolt holes there. And he'll get this left side bolt started here. And just moving around to the right side, he's going to get that one started. We're not going to tighten any of the tank bolts down until we have them all started, so it gives us a little play to get things lined up. And going in with his rear tank bolts here. Again, just getting them started here. And then move over to the one on the left side rear here. All right, and with a Torx T40, he's going to go in and snug the right side bolt and the left side front tank bolt. And don't forget to put that rubber cover on both sides of the front of the tank. All right, and with his Torx 40, he's going to tighten both of the rear tank bolts down here, starting with the right one, and he'll move over to the left one. All right, now he's going to start hooking his vent lines back up, of course the one on the left side there, and then he'll fish that one on the right side back down in there. You can zip tie that down in there if you so choose. And then he'll take that gray plug and get it plugged back in. And just going to hook his fuel line back up, pull up on the sleeve, and then push it into place, making sure it snaps like that. And just hooking my heated seat back up there. And then he'll slide that back into place, working that front tongue in. And of course, going in with the rear thumb bolt. Again, that is our RICKRAK rear seat bolt. We've got regular and extended. in the Law Abiding Biker store. Link in the description below. All right, your journey's not done on the channel. I'm going to pop a couple of videos on the screen here for you. Hopefully something useful or entertaining. Heck, maybe both. At any rate, when you're done watching videos, make sure you get out there and ride every chance you get, Bikeaholics. Peace. Torqued.